son. So I allowed him to interrupt. But yeah, my partner James did the horticultural program at Rikers Island, working with inmates, taking them through a horticultural therapy program and teaching them green skills. And once they got out of prison, that he would take them into New York and they'll do landscaping and gardening jobs and have actually a place where they can build up some credibility again as they start getting themselves back into the workforce from prison. Knowing that when you come out of prison, people normally don't give you a chance just to even get your record clean. So we teamed up because we were both working in a prison setting. I wanted to get out and I wanted to focus more on public health, and James was doing a lot of gardening stuff and a lot of horticultural stuff with a group that was pretty much set up to do dance in prison and do entertainment and different things with women in prison. So it was just a good mix for us. And that was in 2010. So I came here in 98 doing healthcare. When I started, the goal we started was to address some of the issues that we saw being faced. As a public health professional, it was always about looking at community health issues, what were affecting community health issues in urban and city settings, especially here in Miami, where they were getting little to no service being, or not even service, I should say, because the services are there. It's just that they're not being applied in the right way. And people weren't getting the right or the appropriate services that they needed for the care that was required from their professionals. So when I got into this, I started looking at food as an alternative to some of the healthcare issues. And I got into it like Yona did, actually, because I started looking at it for myself. I actually was a vegan for a long time when I came from Florida, because it wasn't because I wanted to be, but adjusting from New York City and coming to this hot climate, it was very hot and I couldn't eat any meat. I was getting sick when I was eating meat in the hot climate because I was just adjusting from coming from like 30s in New York City. I moved here in January. So I remember I started just eating fruit and drinking a lot of liquids when I came to Florida, and I gave up a lot of meat. And then finally I decided to just give it all up. And all my doctors who I used to work with used to always look at me like, show me to their patients and say, you're the ideal model of what a healthy patient should be. I mean, all my levels will come back perfect. No high blood pressure, nothing. They're like, yeah, you're perfect. This is how a healthy patient should look. And then when I started delving into my the other factors that affected my health, my pH, and all the other little micro things that they don't test in a doctor's office, I started seeing my acidity level was 5.5. So I called my stepmother, who's a nurse in Virginia, and she's like, that's impossible. No one has a 5.5 pH level. And I'm like, well, I just did it 3 times, and I've done it in the morning and the evening, and it's like that. So I started realizing that although I was a vegan, I wasn't eating healthy. I wasn't eating healthy foods. The foods that I was eating wasn't healthy for me. A lot of the stuff that I had that I was bringing into my diet was affecting me in different ways, like a lot of the lecithins in beans and all of the other kind of things that we thought were good for us aren't good. So I started eating more peas and I started changing on my diet. And I actually went back after I met my partner. Her family started just shoving meat at me, and I just felt so rude. I'm like, I'm gonna marry this lady, and I'm like not eating anything when I go to her parents' house. So I started eating a little bit. But the only reason I did was because I realized that when I was in the Caribbean, we ate meat. I know this is a vegan, so I'm gonna get off the topic because it gets back to where it goes. But we ate meat, we ate it sparingly, because we weren't able to kill cows and cattle and all of that daily and eat it like they do here in America. It was something that you had, if you had family coming from the States and you had a big celebration at Christmas or something, you would do something like that. So for me, I went back to eating how I ate. I ate mostly vegetables, I ate mostly greens and fruit. I ate a lot of fish because that's what I ate, and I didn't eat a lot of meat. I ate meat once a week. And then finally, I started acclimating myself and moving back off of the meat diet and more onto a vegetable-based diet again, because as I started eating the meat, I realized that what my attitude, what my behaviors were mimicking was not what my intentions were in my head, but where I was living and where I was working. And I was working in the urban inner city. And even when I came and I lived in Miami, I was living in Liberty City. And I always used to say that every time you cross the 95 and go into Liberty City, there's nothing healthy to eat. We did a food security survey of all the food places in Liberty City, nothing healthy to eat. You know, so unless you're having Taco Bell and having a bean taco, that was the epitome of a vegan meal walking through the hood. So it's either you're cooking it for yourself, which most young people aren't, or you're buying it from some fast food restaurant or some corner store or something. So yes, you are just incurring a lot of bad habits. So that's what started us changing it, and that's what started us focusing on food. Because we realized that organic is affordable, and that's one of our monikers with Cerasee Farm, is that it's not affordable. Yes, the corporate engine would like you to think that it's affordable because they make more money marking up the farmers' prices at 5 times what it is when it gets to retail. So yes, it's unaffordable when it gets to retail, but farmers don't make it unaffordable, it's the sellers that do. So we started looking at how can we address some of the issues that are affecting health in the urban inner city. We, like I said, we focus on food. And after 3 years, Anita, who will come up with, who will take the stage just now, I started her doing an activity log of her interactions in the neighborhood, and what were you seeing? What were people saying? What were they coming for? Why were they coming here? Were we good? Were we doing anything good for the community? Did people like us? Were the foods delicious? And were they better? Were they offering something different that they didn't have before? And these logs started giving us feedback and data that we couldn't have normally gotten if she wasn't there at the ground level talking with people. And we started seeing that there were a lot of factors that were affecting health that had nothing to do with food. There's mental health problems. People walk around with mental health issues, not getting any treatment. There's people who are trying to better their lives, but then maybe our family members having legal issues, and that's getting them caught up in that. Or then maybe your mother's in a nursing home and she's having poor elderly care treatment, and that's really plaguing them, and they can't really focus when they go to work and so forth. So there's many other factors. There's housing, there's poor health disparities, there's lack of education, and all these other things that pile on top of eating. So then when it comes to a family eating, and they're trying to get the kids to school, they don't care if it's from Walmart and they're sticking it in the oven. Whatever it takes to get you to shut up and eat something and don't give me any problems, that's where we're going. So we started looking at, let's bring them in and let's offer the food at a cheaper price. And even the USDA, even when we applied for food stamp bucks, they told me, they're like, you can't sell it at that price because we started selling our food at $1 or $1 per pound. And that way, so a family of 4 could afford a healthy meal on a limited budget for themselves. So in doing that, we started seeing more people coming in and looking at what we had to offer. And they started looking at the vegetables, looking at the produce, looking at the things. And they started coming in and giving their impact for what they were getting as well, and then giving us feedback. Hey, that could be used for this, and that could be used for this. And now, besides what we were growing, when we started the goat farm, it was initially started as a community garden to help women in the neighborhood. It was supposed to offer them medicinal herbs and plants that they can use to deal with issues that they had to do at a family level. And eventually it changed to this urban farm model where we now offer like over 15 to 20 plants that help in terms of fighting cancer, destroying and killing free radicals, all of these that's high in terms of reducing blood pressure, that's inflammation. Big problem. A lady came, her daughter had lupus, and the doctor we were walking with, he was like, what's the problem with lupus? What is it? He's like, it's mainly inflammation. I'm like, we have 5 or 6 plants that deal with inflammation here. And the point is that once we started really, like what Yana said, I'm messing up the game, Yana, but what she said was you had to start taking the herbs for yourself. Because we realized, or what I realized, is that all of these plants are here in our farm. Some of them, the birds are just pooping out of the sky. They were coming and they're popping up. Personally, birds were eating that and just pooping it in our garden, and we were just picking it up as a weed and throwing it away. Until I looked at the importance of purslane. Purslane is one of the only plants that offer omega-3s in our diet. So if you're a vegan and you don't want to eat, and you can't eat fish, you don't want to take fish oils and all that, eat purslane, because it has the highest concentration of omega-3s of any plant. So all of these things we started learning, and we started looking at the leaves that we had and realizing that, all the fruits that we grow, the leaves are better if you use them and you make them for tea. So I just looked up and started looking them up. Avocado leaf, mango leaf tea, papaya leaf. I just made some elderberry flower tea the other day just because I read about it and I read about the strong nutritional benefits of elderflowers and what they do when you make a tea with them. Banana leaf, papaya leaf, all of these things, talking about being gluten-free and stuff. I read that avocado, if you drink avocado leaf tea and you have gluten intolerance, it alleviates the gluten intolerance. So whenever you have something and you're eating something with gluten, drink avocado leaf tea. I didn't know this, right? Sunflowers, if you have them organic, they're great for all kinds of things, the petals, the stems, and the head of the sunflower itself, not just the seeds. So all of these things we started just reading about and looking into. Papaya leaf helps with hair growth, it stimulates hair growth. Somebody came and told Anita something about how some plant makes your hair root stronger. Guava leaf tea. So all of these things we started just hearing from people and hearing all of the benefits of them and seeing all that they can do for us. And that is where we came when we met Jeffrey, was that he started asking us, or we met Jeffrey through Linda Bauer, who some of you guys may know. Linda was volunteering at the farm, and a facility was going up across the street, and we didn't like it. It was another facility, just big, taking up space and destroying our skyline and so on. And when it opened, there was a homeless veterans housing project called 4. So we reached out to them, and I'm trying not to overspeak on Anita's topic, because Anita, we always do that when we get up and we speak first. We always talk about Anita's stuff, and then she comes up and has nothing to say. So with Call 4, we were looking at veterans, and as I mentioned, we had the horticultural therapy program that Anita helped, that she was a graduate of, and she helped make improve, and she presented on it and so forth. It was nationally recognized as a model of consistency and excellence in horticultural therapy. And we started applying that model to veterans and PTSD, and looking at how can gardening affect veterans coming out of who has PTSD. And one of the things we saw was that veganism helped veterans. Not for the reasons that we think, but because veterans, because of PTSD, one of the main factors was anger. They came out of back from war. They didn't like how they were treated. They didn't like the things that were going on. So they were very angry, and they lost their focus. So the only thing they could focus on was everything else that was just upsetting them. When they turned to veganism, they started focusing that anger on all the things that made eating meat bad. So the corporate slaughterhouses, the guys who, corporate poultry people, all of these people now had all these veterans focusing their anger towards them. And it was great because places like this offered a community for them to sit and talk with and have something in common with other people now. So now they were now connected back to community and connected back to people and regular life. And they started using all of these outlets and these different things just to refocus themselves. And that's what we're looking to do, is help them to refocus. When Anita talks to people, we're not trying to help you be a vegan or be a vegetarian or whatever. We want to help you eat well. And we want to show you that we're offering the foods, and we want to show you how you can eat well. And we want to train you on how you can do all these foods. And if you need some land, we can show you how to get that land from the city, how to apply for different grants and whatever. We can take you through the process. But what we want is we want people to come in and show them how the garden can help them to refocus. Because even when I get to the garden, I'm not free from being angry and frustrated or nothing like that, but the soil helps. And science has shown that in the soil are microbes that act as what is it, Anita? It's like I don't know my drugs like that.
It's equivalent to Boost Bar, which is used for anxiety.
There you go. And they have a lot of just common qualities. So once your fingers get in the soil, that's why I always tell people, don't garden with gloves. Garden barehanded. Garden like you used to. And I always tell kids, your hands are your tools anyway. They're your shovels, your rakes, your trowels, whatever you need. The other stuff that we use are just to make it a little easier for us sometimes. So once we get our hands in the soil starts healing us automatically. And then obviously it connects you back to your past and your ancestors. And that's what we try to do first thing when we get folks in the garden. We're not trying to get you to change how you eat or any of those things. We want you to reconnect with your ancestor and your culture. You know, everybody has it. You know, we all have a similar culture, a similar ancestry that connects us to the soil and connects us to the earth. And this is what we want to evoke for people when they come to the garden. And then we can share those stories, and then from sharing those stories, then we move to the seed, the soil, the sun, and the water, the basics of gardening. And from the basics, then we can move on and do the rest. We've had a lot of people come through our program. We deal with a lot of marginalized people. So we're looking at veterans, we're looking at the homeless, we're looking at people coming out of the prison system who are victims of human trafficking, who are victims of domestic violence, who are coming off of recovery. All of these things, people who are fighting struggles from when they've been at the bottom and have to pull themselves up to the top. So nowhere better for them to start than in the soil. And that I leave you with Anita, who is one of our...
What's to say?
Well, she has a lot to say because she has her story and how she deals with the farm. But she's one of the greatest things I can say we've done and we've accomplished at Urban Greenworks and with Cerasee Farms, because you can see the changes that were made. You can, but I've seen them over the past 4 years. I don't tell her, because then it probably make her feel a little too good about herself. Forget that she still has to keep on fighting every day, but she makes me happy every day. Anita,
thank you, Roger, and I want to thank everyone for inviting us here. Again, my name is Anita, and not only am I the manager of the farm, I also do outreach and involved in a program called the Mustard Seed Project. And unfortunately, I don't have the use of the projector, so I'm going to read this off of my phone real quick to let you know exactly what my mission is and what we try to accomplish. The Mustard Seed Project is a horticulture therapy and farm-to-table program for people who have been victimized, have a history of substance abuse, and have left prison. It is structured to work as a therapy program to enhance the recovery healing process of individuals. As an additional component to their medical assistance therapies, its purpose is to help participants by recovering souls through the restoration of soil. It is the program the participants learn how to create edible healing gardens, manage a shade house nursery, or to develop healthy lifestyles by encouraging consumption of fresh food and outdoor activities. The overall goal is to help individuals lead productive lives through horticulture by teaching skill development and job training. We accomplish this by promoting healthy choices such as self-discipline and teaching them ergo-economic process of seeding to market. Our ultimate object is to have individuals become part of their community, reunite with their families, and to accept self-forgiveness.
Yes,
so with that,
Anita, the Mustard Seed program was started with Agape in partnership with the Seroptimus Club and down in Homestead. And when they were graduated from the horticulture program, all the graduates came and started working at the farm as a way of acclimating themselves back into the workforce. Anita was one of our first.
So yes, I was one of the first to graduate from the Mustard Seed program. And through the Mustard Seed program today, like I said, I manage Cerasee Farms, which is located in Liberty City. On the farm side, I grow everything that was spoken about tonight. Yayona talked about the herbs and everything. I grow all those herbs. I grow 13 different types of greens, and they're all available to the community. Healthy eating, affordable prices. I actually give bunches of kale, whatever it is you want, for $1. We also accept food stamps. A lot that I'm really involved in is the service part. Last year we received the Community Partnership Award from Barry University for the service that we do with the community. We were also invited to the American Horticultural Therapy Conference last year to speak on behalf of Urban Greenworks and Cerasee Farms, but unfortunately Hurricane Irma, our flight was canceled. But we were invited again this year, and we'll be going to Colorado in October, and I can't wait to get up and present what we do. In the area of Liberty City, as Roger was saying, there's basically no green spaces there, okay? Everything is becoming high rises. We're about the only in the area where you can actually find something healthy to eat. And the problem in the inner city, a lot of people suffer from high blood pressure, hypertension, cholesterol, heart disease, and it all has to do with what we eat. You know, everything that we eat goes into our blood, and unfortunately, people suffer strokes and heart attacks because of what they intake. So I do a lot of educating to the community. I do a lot of outreach. I go to clinics. They don't exactly like me there because Iona was saying about prescription drugs. I'm not a herbologist, but I do have enough knowledge to know if someone comes into my garden with high blood pressure or diabetes or inflammation, I know what I have in my garden and what I can suggest to them, what they can do. We work with a lot of teas, with moringa, lemongrass. I have rosemary, lavender. We're going to be having 20 teas, hopefully next season, that we're going to be packaging, and we really look forward to that. But let me touch on one thing, one of my main focuses. I work with women, especially women in recovery and women that have been victims of human trafficking. And, you know, through the soil, you know, there's a saying, God made dirt and dirt won't hurt. To put your hands into the soil, just to, you know, we're always told, don't get dirty, don't play with the dirt. The soil plays such an important part in our lives. The women that I work with, not just women, because the whole world is angry and full of resentment, and they don't know how to process it. When you come into my garden, okay, I bring you into my garden. The first thing I tell you, there is no right, there is no wrong in here. You be yourself and do whatever makes you feel comfortable, because it's a healing garden and it's a safe haven. And because two of the main factors that we use to self-destruct and we do harm to ourselves and to those that we love is anger and resentment, I show them a way to process anger in a positive way. And if you use anger in a positive way, you would be surprised when you start yourself, you get involved in something, especially in the garden, how much work gets done. And at the end of the day, it's like that from all the activities that you do in the garden, you leave my garden with a different outlook, you know. So that's where the horticulture therapy comes in. And also the soil, they say it's equivalent to like 20 milligrams of Boost Bar, which is like a drug that's been around for 100 years. So, you know, we do healing through the soil, and working with women is a wonderful thing. A little bit about me, I don't have a master's degree in anything. I'm all hands-on. I was taught everything I know. I have a master's degree on running on the street. I'm in recovery. I'm not ashamed to say it. I'm an addict. Through my years of being clean and sober, you know, I've learned to give back to the community. So that is why, you know, because I took so much from the streets when I was out there. If anyone, you know, it's 2018. We all know there's an opiate epidemic going on. I'm involved with Dade County Health Department. I just left a task force meeting the other day, you know, trying to find alternatives and solutions to the problems that we have. And I'm trying to push the horticulture therapy, and I'm trying to get gardens in treatment centers throughout Miami so that we can work with women through the soil, because I'm a prime example. You know, I was out on the street for over 30 years. I'm a heroin addict, okay? I was like hopeless. People thought I was hopeless. You know, my family disowned me and everything. And here I am today, you know, years later, and I'm able, you know, to say that by the grace of God, I'm clean and sober, and I'm able to help other women. And, you know, the most important part about it is that I have, you know, I didn't go to college and get a master's degree in addiction, okay? I have hands-on experience, so nobody knows better than me. And, you know, I'm just grateful through Cerasee Farms and the garden and the mustard seed program that I have the opportunity to continue on. And one day at a time, one plant at a time, one seed at a time, one life at a time, I'm here to say thank you.
working on after like Eddie Murphy or something. So 1613 Northwest 54th Street. I'm in the process of redoing our website to make it just a little more user-friendly, a little more updated, add all the workshops that we do. And my wife, Monique Moyer, my partner, she's a partner of ours. Cold Cut is live bee removal. Her and her partner come. They had bees on the farm, so that helps us with our pollinators and help us to get our plants pollinated. I find that it's very important to support pollinators. So we also have a project called the Pollinator Pathways, where we're creating these little pathways of natural eco-space using pollinator plants throughout Little Haiti and downtown Miami and headed through Liberty City. And we're hoping that continues to take hold. Ever since we've had bees on our farm, our fruit trees haven't stopped producing. The only time they stopped producing was when the state was spraying for Zika, and we had to move them. And then when they sprayed for Zika, the pollinators didn't come back for like 6 months. So, and the butterflies just started coming back in January. So we know that was bad. We see the effects of global warming because we see, when I started this thing in 2010, the plants we used to plant in the spring, we now plant in the summer. So we see that there's slow effects of global warming and all of these different things. And we hope that by continuing to plant in these green spaces, we know that urban farmers and small farmers are the ones that are actually saving the world and saving the environment. There are like over 1 million plus small farmers in the world, and each plot of land that they farm is sequestering tons and tons of carbon from the environment that is saving our ozone and helping us to clean our air, and that's saving our seas, because everyone thinks the trees are where our oxygen comes from, but it's not. It's the oceans, from the phytoplankton. So by allowing that phytoplankton to die, we're actually killing ourselves and reducing that amount of oxygen that we truly have to breathe. So we look at the environmental effect of what the work we do. We look at the personal effect, the community effect. We look at the economic effect that it has on a community that is changing. Our community is changing right now. Liberty City, Little Haiti is going through what a colleague of ours, Ms. Paulette, calls climate change gentrification, because it's 10 feet above, 10 feet or 10 inches? 10 inches? 10 feet, I think. Let's say 10 feet. That sounds like a better number. But it's the highest elevation in the city of Miami. So it's higher than the beach. So everyone from the beach is slowly making their way into Little Haiti and Liberty City and changing the demographics. When we started what we were doing in Liberty City in 2010, Little Haiti was 96% Haitian. Today it's 56%. And there's a Panther Coffee in Little Haiti, if you believe that one. So yeah, so the neighborhood is changing. We have to adapt to the neighborhood. We understand that gentrification is not a great thing. It's a bad word, just like eating meat is. But we also have to understand that it's inevitable. And one of the things that we as an organization have to do is to adapt to the changes that are coming, not fight them always. Because sometimes when you fight, you don't really make any progress. But when you adapt, you continually always to make progress, because you're always changing to the things around you. And that's what we ask our folks to do. Don't always have to fight. We ask them to fight, but it's not always about a fight. It's about listening, it's about adapting, and it's about making yourself better each day so that we can serve more people. Thank you very much.